Campbell, nice pass to Riley. What a play by Suggs. My gosh, fantastic. What a pass.
You know I'm ballin', usual like Kobe. Ooh, worry about a hater that don't know me. He say that he tough, then that boy gotta show me. Pull up Billy truck, extra pause every 4D. Say my name 3 times like I'm Tony.
Jalen Johnson is number 5 on my board. He's a 6'9", 19-year-old. I think I'm higher on Jalen Johnson than anybody else I've seen. The upside, in my opinion, in the modern NBA is just too good for him not to be a top 5 pick. I think he can be a center in the NBA. He enjoys the physical side of the game and he has some nastiness to him. If you Google pictures of NBA players when they were 19 and then you look at them when they're like 25, 26, the difference is crazy. Jalen, he's going to be a physical force. His athleticism, size, and his physical nature make me believe that he's going to be a really good rebounder. I also think he can be a team's rim protector. He has a feel for shot blocking, and the 7-foot wingspan and athleticism also help. The advantages created by playing Jalen Johnson at center are huge. In transition, he has a guard's handle and passing, while in a power forward's body with elite athleticism. He looks like Ben Simmons in transition with the ball in his hands. Every time he gets a rebound on the defensive end, it immediately turns into transition offense, and he's so good in that area. I think he'll average like 10 rebounds a game in the NBA, and he's going to create so many easy points off those transition looks. I don't think he'll be a go-to guy in the half-court offense, but he can definitely be a secondary creator. He's going to be good at attacking closeouts, and he can play in both spots of the pick and roll. He can play in the dunker spot and be a lob threat, or he can stand in the corner and be a spacer. His shot is a little bit weird, the offhand is ugly, but I think it'll still work at a pretty good rate. He's also a really good passer for his size. On defense, I think he's going to be able to guard 3 through 5 really well, but he'll probably struggle with guards getting switched onto them quite a bit as he's pretty slow-footed and slow to react to quick guys. It's just really easy for me to picture Jalen Johnson playing center for a playoff team next year and just killing the opposing team. At his peak, I think he'll be an elite player, averaging something like 22, 10, and 5, and at least a steal and a block a game. Jalen Johnson rounds out my top 5.
That's your girl, we can share it. Might buy her diamonds and pearls, but can't marry. She set my D-bomb like a terrorist. He thinking on, but man, that's barely. We rock on white ice, look like dairy. Kids, my red Hellcat.
I think Scotty's a pretty known commodity. He's going to play extremely hard. He might try too hard at times. I think he's going to be a really good passer, but he has some limitations there because of his lack of self-creation ability and the lack of gravity he has as being a non-threat in scoring in certain situations. I think he's going to be an awesome rebounder. He just has a great physical presence in general. The dude is massive. People give rebounding as one of his possible weaknesses, but they don't mention that he played point guard and was on the perimeter most of the time. Like on free throws, he wasn't even one of the guys in the paint. He would stand outside the arc. The downside of Scotty is that it isn't easy just to slide him into any lineup and it works. If you're drafting him in the top 5, I think you need to have a plan for him. Is he going to be your point guard? Is he bringing the ball up? The problem with that is just about every starting point guard in the NBA is so good. Do you really want to take the ball out of their hands to put it in Scotty's? Also, what is Scotty going to do when he doesn't have the ball? Is he going to be a good enough shooter and willing to just stand on the 3-point line and spot up? That's where me saying he might try too hard sometimes comes into play. It seems like he's always moving and always feels like he has to do something. He's going to go set a screen, or he's just always trying to be involved, which can sometimes be a negative thing. I think Scotty's coming from the perfect situation. Whoever advised him to go to Florida State was really smart, or if that was on him, that was a really good decision for him. Florida State switches everything and they pick up full court. It allowed Scotty to show off his defensive versatility and his energy that he gives every night. And then on offense, he was allowed to have the ball in his hands and show off his passing. I think if he went to a school that sat in a zone or had a more old school offense, I'm not sure what he looks like. I doubt he's a top 10 pick. So he's coming from a great situation, and I guess you just have to hope that he's going to go to another great one. I think he's as good of the Ben Simmons comp as there will be in the NBA. I don't know if he's quite the athlete or has the fluidity in his hips to guard guards like Ben does, but everything else that makes Ben Simmons so good, I think Scottie has that at a really similar level. I'm a huge Scottie fan and I'd love to have him on my team, and I think he's worthy of a top 5 pick. He just needs to go to the right place that has a plan for him.
I said free my dogs from the county. Yeah, the ones on the run from the bounty. Yeah, diamonds they so wet, need some bounty. Walk up with my toolie, what they do?
Jonathan Kuminga is number 7 on my board. He's 6'6" with a 6'8" wingspan, and he's still only 18 years old. Kuminga and the next guy on my board I feel pretty much the same way everybody else does, so I'll keep these two a little bit shorter. I think Jonathan Kuminga has all the tools. He can naturally do anything on the basketball court. He's that ideal big wing who can do everything. He 100% has that Paul George, Kawhi Leonard upside. It's just right now he's a ways away from being a winning NBA player. He's going to put up box score stats right away because of his natural ability, but he just makes so many mistakes at this point. Watching Ignite games, they give up so many wide open shots, and if you rewind it to see what happened, there's Jonathan Kuminga, like every single time. He's kind of the opposite of Davion and Scottie in terms of the energy thing. He just looks tired and dragging a lot of the time. He takes a lot of bad shots. He misses a lot of open shots, but I think the potential is so clear. I think he'll be kind of similar to Julius Randle, where the first few years of their career, you wonder if they're just a black hole and there's a whole lot of oofs in their game. But then one year he's just going to put it all together in the right situation and look like a monster. I think his peak is higher than Julius Randle. The question is, are you willing to go through those bad years to get to the good ones? And do you have the situation that can develop him and have him eventually flourish?
Like a movie minus all the acting. Jacket, yeah, it's made of rabbit. Diamonds on my neck and wrist, they compliment that carrots. You ain't nothing but a mockingbird, boy, you a parrot.
Jalen Suggs is awesome. Every NBA team would love to have him. The energy, the passion, a team player, the athleticism, it's all really good. There are just so many 6'4" human beings in the world that are really good at basketball that if you're not elite at something, I would struggle to take that guy in the top 5. I think he's a B to a B+ at every skill you evaluate a point guard in. He's maybe an A on some defensive stuff. I think he's probably more of a connector than a creator though. And that's not always a bad thing. It's just with the top 5 pick, you probably want a creator in my opinion. Like I said, I feel pretty much the same way everybody else does on him. I think he's an awesome prospect and he's going to be a really good NBA player for sure. His floor is as high as anybody's. I just don't see the superstar upside.
Meet me in the alley with the troops. I got red shooters, I got blue. Let that thing down and point at you.
Evan Mobley is a 7-foot center and has a 7'4" wingspan at just 19 years old. I'm probably lower than consensus on Evan Mobley than anybody else in this class, and I'm definitely lower on him than anybody else I've seen, so I have some explaining to do. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a big in today's NBA who has a softer game than Evan Mobley. He reminds me a lot of Marcus Peters playing football, kind of a weird comparison here, but the physical side of the game, Marcus Peters just kind of like, yeah, I'd rather not do that than Ole's guys. Evan Mobley reminds me a lot of that. You can count the number of times on one hand that Evan Mobley set a screen at USC. Like, not a good screen, just a screen in general. And it's not for a lack of him being put in a situation where he was asked to set screens. He would be in that situation most possessions. He would kind of get in the way instead. He's going to get drafted by the Cavs or Rockets by all accounts, and I can't wait to see the looks Colin Sexton or John Wall give him. I know that screen setting should not be the number one point about a prospect, especially when it's going to get fixed, because an NBA coach is not going to let him on the floor if he won't set a screen. But I think it outlines greater issues with him. The unwillingness to create contact as a center is going to be a huge issue. Like, he won't even go for a rebound if someone is in front of him. You don't even have to box him out, you just have to be in front of him. Evan Mobley got every one of his rebounds in college solely based off his height and athleticism. Which, I mean, he's going to get a lot of those at the NBA level too because he's huge, but still. I think he's the opposite of a do-your-work-early guy, every coach's favorite line. He's never going to sprint down the court and put his butt into a guy and just seal him. He's never going to fight to seal a guy just in general and get the ball. You just never really see him physically exert himself in any situation on the basketball court. I definitely have a type of center I like. It's the rim running center who does the dirty work, and obviously Evan Mobley is not that type of center, and I'm trying to set that bias aside. Like, even if he isn't my type of player, is he going to be good? I think he has 3 elite skills that are going to be super valuable at an NBA level, which if you're elite at 3 skills, you got a really good shot. He's awesome at playing in space on defense. In the pick and roll, he's incredible at playing both the ball handler and the rolling big after the guard gets screened. He's so long and so big and such an athlete that he can kind of just probe in the middle and guard both guys. It's pretty crazy. There won't be many guys in the NBA who can do that as well as him, and it's a super valuable skill to have in today's NBA. I think he's a really good rim protector. He's got a great feel for it and has the obvious physical tools. His passing is awesome as well. At 7 feet and 19 years old, it's incredible. He's going to be so good in the short roll at finding the open guy. I just wonder how much of his passing is going to translate to the next level. A lot of his game in college was him in the post getting doubled, and he'd pick the defense apart every time when they did that to him. I really wonder in the NBA if they're going to throw him the ball in the post. You have to be so good as a big for a team to play through you in the post. Post-ups are just not an efficient play in general. Is he going to be good enough to have a team play through him or even be a secondary creator? I doubt that he's going to be a good enough creator for that to happen. So what role on offense does he play then? Is his ideal outcome like DeAndre Ayton? I mean, DeAndre Ayton is basically a glorified Clint Capella. The Hawks and the Suns don't give those guys touches. They set screens, catch lobs, and take switches down into the post, and sometimes Ayton will shoot when he's open too. So if he's not good enough for a team to play through him, and he's definitely not the rim-rolling, physical big that Clint Capella, DeAndre Ayton type, what does he do on offense? I guess the only other role of a big is a spacer, which he could become a decent floor spacer, but do you want to take this guy in the top 5 just to stand in the corner? That doesn't seem right. So that was a lot of negative. There is positive. I mean, he's 7 feet tall and he's a pretty fluid athlete. I do think we got to put a pause on how fluid he is, though. Some people say he's going to be able to be like a 3 at the next level. He's a center. He's definitely a center, in my opinion. But he's 19 and has a lot of the raw ability for him to develop. And I mean, everybody has him top 3, and there's a lot of people that I respect who have really high opinion of him. So I guess I still have him as a top 10 pick as well, but I would definitely not be the one taking him.